Who's laughing now? Shut up!
The biggest sign that Trump is fully losing his marbles isn't that his face is slumping more than his economy, or that despite never drinking alcohol, he would instantly fail a field sobriety test. No, it's that he spends his days on Truth Social, lashing out at every reporter and late-night comedian who points out that Sleepy Dawn might be better off on a recliner than in the Oval Office. After the New York Times did a piece on Trump's failing health, he lashed out in an epic rant on Truth Social before admitting he will one day too lose everything, which God I hope comes soon. If you want to be around for the celebration when that happens, then be sure to subscribe to Really American and help us get to 1 million. We've got an amazing community here on the channel, and we've always got room for one more. So I wanted to just start with Trump's meltdown because holy shit, it is a good one. And then we'll go look at what New York Times claims because hell, maybe Trump is right. Maybe they are dubious claims. Yeah, I don't think so either. Here's what Trump tweeted this morning. The creeps at the failing New York Times are at it again. Then he goes on to lie for a while about how great his accomplishments are. But then he finishes with, yet despite all of this, the radical left lunatics in the soon-to-fold New York Times did a hit piece on me that I am perhaps losing my energy, despite facts that show the exact opposite. They know this is wrong, as is almost everything they write about me, including election results, all purposely negative. This cheap rag is truly an enemy of the people. The writer of the story, Katie Rogers, who is assigned to write only bad things about me, is a third-rate reporter who is ugly, both inside and out. It is unironically easier to read this when you do a Trump accent. That's crazy. Despite all of this, I have my highest poll numbers ever, which is a lie, and I'll show you that in a second. And with record-setting investment being made in America, they should only go up. There will be a day when I run low on energy, it happens to everyone, but with a perfect physical exam and a comprehensive cognitive test that was aced, just recently taken, it certainly is not now. God bless America and make America great again. Okay, so first of all, you can't ace a cognitive test. We all know that the test that Trump took that he claims to be an IQ test was actually a test to make sure he didn't have dementia. And the results, well, just like October's job numbers, they're yet to be seen. But also, Trump is admitting that he will one day run low on energy. And I hate to break it to him, but the life expectancy in the United States is 79 years. Well, 79.4 years to be exact. And since June, Trump is 79 years old. Actually, since it's November, it looks like he's just about 79.4 years old exactly. So who knows? Looks like today just might be that day, Donald. Knock on wood. Let's take a look at the New York Times article and read for ourselves these outlandish allegations that the man who stands like he's had a colonoscopy by Vlad the Impaler is actually suffering from clearly declining health and isn't just trying to pull a Michael Jackson. Authors Katie Rogers and Dylan Friedman write for the New York Times. The day before Halloween, President Trump landed at Joint Base Andrews after spending nearly a week in Japan and South Korea. He was then whisked to the White House, where he passed out candy to trick-or-treaters. Allies crowded over the president's stamina. He's been nonstop for days, one wrote online. A week later, Mr. Trump appeared to doze off during an event in the White House. With headline-grabbing posts on social media, combative interactions with reporters, and speeches full of partisan red meat, Mr. Trump can project round-the-clock energy, virility, and physical stamina. Now, at the end of his 8th decade, Mr. Trump and the people around him still talk about how he is the Energizer Bunny of presidential politics. The reality is more complicated. Mr. Trump, 79, is the oldest person to be elected to the presidency, and he is aging. To preempt any criticism about his age, he often compares himself to President Joseph R. Biden Jr., who at 82 was the oldest person to hold the office, and whose aides took measures to shield his growing frailty from the public, including by tightly managing his appearances. He sleeps all the time, during the day, during the night, on the beach, Mr. Trump said about Mr. Biden last week, adding, "I'm not a sleeper." But we all saw that that isn't true. Mr. Trump remains almost omnipresent in American life, although we all wish that he would go away. He appears before the news media and takes questions far more often than Mr. Biden did. Foreign leaders, chief executives, donors, and others have regular access to Mr. Trump and see him in action. Still, nearly a year into his second term, Americans see Mr. Trump less than they used to. According to a New York Times analysis of his schedule, Mr. Trump has fewer public events on his schedule and is traveling domestically much less than he did at this point during his first year in office in 2017, although he is taking more foreign trips where he's taking massive bribes, of course. He also keeps a shorter public schedule than he used to. Most of his public appearances fall between noon and 5 p.m. on average. And when he is in public, occasionally, his battery shows signs of wear. During an Oval Office event that began around noon on November 6th, Mr. Trump sat behind his desk for about 20 minutes as executives standing around him talked about weight loss drugs. At one point, Mr. Trump's eyelids drooped until his eyes were almost closed. I think they were completely closed, but that's just me. And he appeared to doze on and off for several seconds. At another point, he opened his eyes and looked toward a line of journalists watching him. He stood up only after a guest who was standing up near him fainted and collapsed. I honestly think during that whole little event, Trump didn't even know what was happening until like 30 seconds, a minute after the guy fell over. It took him forever to register what was going on. According to a Times analysis of the official presidential schedules in a database maintained by Roll Call, Mr. Trump's first official event starts later in the day. In 2017, the first year of his first term, Mr. Trump's scheduled events started at 10:31 a.m. on average. By contrast, Mr. Trump in his second term has started scheduled events in the afternoon on average at 12:08 p.m. His events end on average around the same time as they did the first time, shortly after 5. The number of Mr. Trump's total official appearances has decreased by 39%. Mr. Trump still regularly comes down to the Oval Office after 11 a.m., according to a person familiar with his schedule. This routine is a holdover from his first term. After complaining about being overscheduled in the mornings, Mr. Trump kept so-called executive time hours in the White House residence before he headed downstairs for work. Mr. Trump holds frequent Oval Office events, posts regularly on social media, and is often at his golf clubs on the weekend, though most of what he does there is shielded from the public. Like any other medical patient and any other president, what Mr. Trump chooses to reveal to the public about his health is up to him. With no official template for releasing health information, physicians often rely on summaries of medical tests without going into detail. Dr. Jeffrey Coleman, who served as a White House physician from 2000 to 2013, wrote a book about presidential health care and said that Mr. Trump's schedule contrasts with those held by George W. Bush, who was 54 when he took office, and Barack Obama, who was 47. Both built exercise into their daily schedules. They show him as effective, Dr. Coleman said of Mr. Trump's aides, but every time he's in the Oval Office, he's sedentary. And when we do see Donald Trump walking, he's not exactly doing it very well. If you ask me, Trump seems well aware of the fact that he's knocking on heaven's door, except well, he's also aware of his past crimes, so he's really knocking on hell's manhole cover.
I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. Okay, I really don't. I think I'm not maybe heaven bound.
And according to recent polling, it looks like there have been enough health scares now, as many, if not more than Biden had, mind you, for voters to start expressing their concerns. Nearly half of Americans say Trump is too old to be president. According to September polling from YouGov, 49% of people think that the president is too advanced of age to serve in office, a 15% point increase from February. And that's really in line with his numbers in general, which are taking a massive hit. I mean, it's no wonder considering how you can't trust a word that comes out of the White House, who's saying that everything is fine when really it's about as bad as it can be for Trump. Here's polling from this month. Trump's approval ratings slips in second term low. According to the polling, Trump's approval has slipped to 38% and his disapproval is 57%. YouGov's Alan Houston says that Donald Trump has hit a new low in job approval for his second term, with women and older Americans hitting new record levels of disapproval in the latest poll. Houston added, the 38% who approve of Trump is the smallest share of Americans to do so at any point in Trump's second term. So things aren't exactly looking good for the old orange, and we all know what happens to oranges when they get too old. They start to rot. Be sure to subscribe to Really American to stay up to date on all the news that MAGA hates for you to hear. I'm Tony Hinderman, and I'll catch you next time.